Hi, my name is Linda Grime, and I'm going to be doing the communion portion of the service this morning. For those of you who may not know me, my husband John and I moved to the Okanagan from Vancouver about 5 years ago, and we've been coming to Coldstream Church for about 3 years. I wanted to share a story, a little gardening story with you this morning that I really felt when it happened that God wanted me to share it as an illustration, and it's only taken me 2 years to get brave enough to do that. A few years ago when we moved here, we planted clematis in our garden, and we planted 2 great big ceramic pots, 2 different kinds, and put them in different ends of the garden to see where they do best. And so they grew throughout the summer, and then we did our research and found that we had to cut them right back at the end of summer. And because they were in these ceramic pots, I didn't want them to stay outside, so we brought them into the garage. Well, when winter was over and before it was actually planting time again, I noticed that these 2 clematis had started to grow in the planters in the garage. But the problem was, because they were so close together, they were actually growing together, and they were quite entwined. And John was out of town at the time, and we couldn't carry these. I couldn't carry 2 pots at the same time. I didn't want to rip them apart, and I didn't want to cut them apart. So I decided to unravel them. And so I sat for a good hour and a half, and these clematis had tiny little tendrils, really fragile little spindly things that they just they wrapped around either the trellis in the other plant or around the other plant itself, and sometimes they wound around it about 5 or 6 times. So it took a lot of patience on my part and gentleness to unravel these things and to gently get them going in the direction that I wanted them to go on their own plant. And so as I was doing that for an hour and a half, I had a lot of time to think, and I think God was just showing me how many times in my own life I've gotten off track one way or another, as we all do, and how much God loves me and how patient and compassionate and kind He's been in, untangling me from some of the messes I've got in, and then gently setting me off in the right direction again. Because He knows my heart, and He knows that I do want to be in the right place and doing His will. There's a hymn I wanted to share just a verse of with you. We sing it often, some of you will know it. And this seemed to me to illustrate the point as well. It's an old hymn called "Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing." It was written in 1758. And the words that I wanted to share are, and to use this as a prayer before communion. Oh, to grace, how great a debtor daily I'm constrained to be. Let thy goodness like a fetter bind my wandering heart to thee. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it, prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, oh, take and seal it for thy courts above. So just think about that, the times we've wandered, the times that God has forgiven us and set us back on the right track again. And if you'd like to take the bread now, I'll read from Matthew 23. This was at the Last Supper, and it says, Matthew 26, verse 26. While they were eating, Jesus took the bread, and when He had given thanks, He broke it and gave it to His disciples, saying, "Take and eat, this is my body." And then in verse 27, it continues. So if you'd like to take your cup. Then He took a cup, and when He had given thanks, He gave it to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sin. So I'd just like to end this quoting from a verse in Romans chapter 2, verse 4, that says, "Don't you see how wonderfully kind, tolerant, and patient God is with you?" And as we go into this week, I hope that you will keep that illustration and those words in your heart, and that as you speak with others or meet with others, that you would also be wonderfully kind and tolerant and patient as God is with us. God bless you and have a good week.